don't know about you, but I'm noticing how much harder it is to buy stuff with our money. It's almost as if our money is constantly losing its value. Like, think about it. The amount of money you needed to buy groceries for a week, a year or two ago, it's not the same money you need today. You need a lot more money. Now, I know a lot of people blame inflation for the reasons why things cost a lot of money, but there's a flip side to that a lot of people don't address that I want to talk about in this video. And unless you live under a rock or you weren't paying attention to the campaign, you know exactly where I'm going. Tariff. What is it? What does it mean for your wallet? And what can you do to prepare for the price increases we might see if Trump does have his way? Before I get started on what a tariff is, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss a video. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my voice is definitely going out. But I made a promise to stay dedicated to upload one video once a week, every week for 52 weeks straight. And I'm not going to let a little cold hold me back. Just how I know you're not going to let anything keep you from achieving all of your financial goals this year. So what is a tariff? I know we've heard that word thrown around so much, but a tariff honestly is just a fancy way to say tax. Now, what makes a tariff different from tax is a tariff is a tax that is placed on imported goods. Imported goods are goods that are coming into the country from another country to be sold into the U.S. Think about all of the stuff in your house. It is very common to see a made in China sticker, made in Mexico or grown in Mexico, made in Canada. All of these items that usually have these stickers on the bottom are all imported goods, things that we use in our everyday life that come from other countries. Now, I could go deep into why so many of our items are being imported, but I don't want to take your time. I know I only got a little bit of your attention, so let's stay on track. Now, there are three main countries I'm going to focus on: China, Canada, and Mexico. And the reason why I want to focus on those countries is because those were the countries that Trump specifically said he was going to impose a tariff on. With China, it's 10%, and with Mexico and Canada, it'll be 25%. If he has his way. Now, the main places we're really going to see these price spikes are going to be in the electronics section and in our food section. So that means, unfortunately, your grocery prices are going to go up. And the reason why I really want to talk about this and why this worries me is think about all the urban communities around America that are already struggling to put food on the table as it is. To be honest, the average American cannot afford a price spike. We are already barely making it as it is. And I'm really worried that if he does get a chance to implement these taxes, what may happen to those communities that are already struggling? My mama used to say, you can't change what you can't change, so you might as well learn how to live in it. And that's exactly what we're going to have to do. How do you balance tariff? How do you deal with the possible price increases that might be coming up in the future? How do you prepare your finances for these things? I'm going to give you just a couple of things I'm planning on doing to help me, and hopefully you can implement it in your life as well so that you don't feel the consequences of these actions too much. So the number one thing I'm going to tell you to do is create a budget. The reason why I tell you guys to create a budget is because if you already know that there's going to be a price spike in certain areas, you can determine where you have to cut back, where you guys might have to do a little bit more digging to get some extra money. You already have an overview of your finances. Now you just have to figure out what it is you need to move around to make this work for you, right? Because there's literally nothing you can do about it. You know it's going to happen. And if you're already one of those people who already does budgeting, who is already tracking their finances, it's a lot easier for you to maneuver when something is happening because you already have a clear picture. So the number one thing I'm going to tell you to do is create a budget if you're not already creating a budget, and track your expenses. See what your money is going. A lot of the reason why we might see a price increase in the grocery sector is because a lot of our grocery items, produce especially, comes from Mexico and Canada, right? So if you already know that there's going to be a price increase, maybe it's time that you stick to that food menu that you and your family create. I know a lot of people don't like leftovers, but maybe it's time you get over that. You might have to like some leftovers. Whatever it is that you need to do, what you need to cut back, the first step is always going to be create a budget, look over it, and see what it is you need to move around so that you and your family don't suffer from this too much. The second thing you can start doing is shop smarter. We are consumed by consumerism. Unfortunately, that's how our economy works and how it survives is people making piss poor financial decisions and buying stuff they don't necessarily need. Now, I'm not trying to scare you, but this is not the time for you to be buying stuff that you know you don't really need or things that you know you don't really use. So shopping smarter is definitely going to help you in the long run and making sure you're not busting open your budget wide open, right? One thing that I do before I sit down and I make my grocery budget, I go through the whole house. I go through the pantry, I go through the freezer, and I go through the fridge, and I make a list of what I already have, right? After I make that list of what I already have, based on that is what I make my menu. So 2 to 3, 4 meals might just come from stuff that I already have, or worst case scenario, I might have to pick up like 1 or 2 extra things to make that meal. Now, for the days that are left in the week that I don't have anything, those are going to be the days where I'm going to have to grocery shop a lot more. But because I've already taken into consideration what is already in my house and what I already have, I'm not really spending that much money on groceries because I'm only buying enough stuff to last me until the next grocery trip. Another thing I'm going to suggest you to do if you can afford it is buying in bulk. It is a lifesaver. Sam's Club, BJ's, Costco are the main places that I know of. There might be some different places in your neighborhood, in your area. But buying in bulk can save you money because yes, you are spending more money up front. But if you spread that cost amongst the items that you're buying and how long they're lasting you, you usually end up seeing that you're spending a lot less money than the average person who's going into Walmart, Target, Kroger, Publix to go grocery shopping because you're buying a whole bunch of things at one time. And y'all already know my favorite store to start at is Aldi. I don't care what anybody says. They may not have everything you need, but there is a lot of things that they have that you can use. I get my oils, my sandwich meat, my produce, my vegetables. I get a lot of my groceries from Aldi. The most that I've spent at Aldi, even like without me making a grocery list, is like $130 something. That is it. And a lot of the things that I was buying at that time were things that would last me for a long period of time. A lot of people are shocked when I tell them I don't spend more than $500 to feed my family of 4. The big reason why I'm able to do that is because I shop at Aldi. I do bulk shopping. I even find a local butcher in my area and I get most of my meat from that. Now, like I stated before, I am coming out of pocket a lot of money up front, but in the long run, it works because the cost is spread out and it also helps limit my trips to the grocery store. The third thing that you could do is pay down your debt. If you have a lot of your money tied up into debts, into subscriptions, you're going to feel like you don't have enough money. And if the cost of living goes up and so much of your money is tied into debt, that is going to force you into a position where you have to choose between providing for your family or paying off debt. With that in mind, it is very important that you go ahead and pay down whatever debt you have. No matter how little it is or how big it is, I want you to be way more aggressive in paying down your debt. That way you have a lot more of your money freed up so that it can go to other things that you might need for your household. Another thing I suggest you do, especially when it comes to saving money on groceries specifically, is get creative. Make stuff from scratch. That's what I do. And as I stated, I really don't spend that much money compared to the average American on my groceries. And the big reason for that is I make a lot of our things from scratch. The reason why I do that is because, for example, let's say you buy a bottle of barbecue sauce. Now you can only use that barbecue sauce for things that require barbecue sauce. But if you do what I do, which is make it from scratch, get your brown sugar, get a bottle of ketchup, a little bit of white sugar in there, and a little bit of honey in there. Yes, I can make barbecue sauce, but I can also make a plethora of other things. If I need a bake and I need brown sugar, I got it. If I need to drink tea and I need honey, I got it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm buying items so that I can make a specific product from scratch, but I also know that I'm able to also use the different products that I'm buying in other situations too. My favorite thing to make from scratch is bread, because flour. You can make so many different things with flour. So why not just buy you some bread flour, make your bread from scratch, or self-rising flour, make your bread from scratch so that you have flour versus buying a loaf of bread that does not expire, by the way. Have y'all noticed that the bread doesn't have mold on it? I digress. Making stuff from scratch is definitely going to be a game changer in helping you save a lot of money, especially when it comes to groceries. At the end of the day, we can't control tariffs. Hell, we barely can control our president. But what we can control is what we do with our money and how we spend it and where it's going. That's why I really want you to take control of your finances, because we don't know what's going to come down the pipeline. And I don't want to sound all gloomy, because I usually try to keep it positive. But this is not the time for you to put off getting out of debt. This is not the time for you to put off not saving money. This is not the time to play about yourself. Things are getting harder and harder and harder. And if you don't put yourself in a position where you can handle whatever might come down the pipeline, you might end up being one of those people that default on their credit cards, or one of the 37% of Americans that can't afford a $400 emergency. I don't want that from you. And if there's any videos, any content I can make to help you, please comment them below so that I can help you figure it out. I'm Yukanje, and over here, we make finances fun. See you in the next video.